The man was stunned to find a beautiful woman standing on the opposite side of the desolate canyon. Despite the distance of a few kilometers, her perfect figure was still captivating. He wanted to look a little longer, but the woman seemed to notice his presence. She immediately stopped what she was doing and turned to face him. It was an absolutely stunning face, but the man instinctively looked away. Someone had once told him, no matter what happens on the other side, never interfere, and especially never try to communicate. This was a watchtower built on the edge of the canyon, and the man was its new guardian. But strangely, even though there wasn't a soul for miles, various weapons and equipment were stored near the watchtower. Every 600 meters, an automated heavy artillery turret was set up, and every kilometer, there was a satellite receiver for communication with the outside world. Inside the canyon, every 10 meters, there was a massive suspended landmine. They looked like decorations, but it seemed they were guarding against something. The previous guardian had told him the job was simple, like being a highly skilled repairman. Just check the equipment and refill the ammunition every day. Once he survived a year, the next guardian would take over. The man was puzzled. Before he arrived, his superiors had told him this was a crucial mission, and he had been anesthetized and dropped straight into the canyon. But now, he didn't even know what the mission's objective was. Was it to prevent anyone from entering the canyon? But as JD explained, the unusual nature of the mission began to unfold. This place was actually a World War II-era site, managed by a mysterious alliance, one that even the leaders of the US and USSR didn't know existed. The most unsettling part was that their true mission wasn't to keep people out of the canyon, but to ensure nothing inside it could escape. Saying this, JD tossed an object into the canyon. Moments later, an eerie, bone-chilling screech echoed from the canyon below. JD told Levi that those were hollow men. This strange name had been passed down by the older generations. In the 1940s, 2,400 cavalrymen were sent to exterminate them, but none of them returned. Since then, the mission had become a permanent lockdown. Before leaving, JD, sipping homemade potato vodka, gave the simplest explanation of the place. This might be the gateway to hell, and they're the gatekeepers. After the handover, Levi sent JD off. JD walked 40 kilometers to the edge of the flight zone, waiting for rescue. For him, the torment of the past year was finally over. When the rescue helicopter arrived, JD grabbed the descending rope. As the helicopter ascended, he slowly left the mysterious jungle behind. JD climbed the rope, feeling a wave of joy when he saw the soldiers waiting for him. But just as he shouted his code name, a soldier suddenly pulled the trigger. A bullet ruthlessly ended JD's life, and his body was left to fall into the abyss. The soldier then reported to higher-ups that the shift had ended. On the other end of the line, the higher-up looked into the distance and sighed deeply. A month passed, and Levi patrolled the western edge, checking the barriers, confirming the state of the explosives, and monitoring the signal stations that blocked satellite signals. Each time he reported in, the conversation felt more like interacting with a robot, short and cold. Even when Levi tried to say more, he was always cut off. One day, while picking vegetables in the garden, Levi suddenly heard a noise coming from the opposite side. He rushed to the watchtower and observed through the telescope. To his surprise, he saw a woman Lithuanian. Just after completing an assassination mission, according to Moscow's arrangement, she was also supposed to stay here for a year and carry out guarding duties. That night, a loud thunderbolt woke Levi from his sleep. His reflexes kicked in, and he immediately checked his surroundings, fully alert. Once he calmed down, he realized he had broken his water glass and cut his right foot. At that moment, on a whim, he picked up his binoculars and looked across the canyon. He saw that Lithuanian hadn't slept either. According to orders, Levi was not supposed to communicate with the opposite side. He was only to focus on his duties. But on Lithuanian's birthday, she broke this rule. She fired a shot to get Levi's attention. The two began exchanging messages with notes and binoculars, starting a special conversation across the distance. Just as they were getting into the conversation, Lithuanian's expression changed suddenly. She quickly signaled Levi to look below. Levi immediately became alert and started scanning for anything unusual. At first, it was too dark to see anything, but Lithuanian noticed some movement through her binoculars. Someone or something was moving. Levi immediately raised his rifle and looked through the scope. When he saw what was happening, he discovered something terrifying. Something was climbing up. Even more horrifying, these creatures had human faces. Without hesitation, Levi fired at them, triggering an explosion below. He quickly ducked back, realizing that these creatures were probably the hollow men JD had mentioned. Lithuanian reacted quickly as well. grabbing heavy weapons and firing at the hollow men below. After a fierce barrage, the hollow men were temporarily driven back, and the night returned to silence. But then, Lithuanian heard a faint noise beneath her feet. A bad feeling surged through her. Sure enough, one of the hollow men had climbed up the watchtower. It had an ugly face with animal-like horns on its head. Lithuanian quickly drew her pistol and shot it back down, but as it fell, the hollow man collided with the explosives. The explosion was violent, and a piece of shrapnel hit Lithuanian. Levi quickly reacted, setting up a heavy machine gun and firing at the hollow man on the opposite side. The relentless gunfire not only aimed at the opposite side but also stopped the enemy beneath him. Lithuanian quickly regained her composure and fired back, and a torrent of bullets filled the canyon, bringing down the climbing hollow men one by one. Just then, one of the hollow men triggered the alarm. The Gatling guns all fired at once, reaching full force, and bullets rained through the canyon. The battle raged on until Levi saw Lithuanian safely appear on the opposite side. She smiled and remarked how unforgettable this birthday had been. Levi finally smiled with satisfaction. Due to the intense battles during the night, Levi began urgently repairing the explosives on the cliff wall early the next morning. Suddenly, a flying device rose from the depths of the canyon and hovered before Levi. Though the nearby Gatling gun detected the target, it swiftly retracted its barrel. By the time Levi turned around, the aircraft had already vanished without a trace. Time flew by, and December arrived. Throughout this period, Levi and Lithuanian maintained daily long-distance communication. When snow season came, they even built snowmen before their respective watchtowers, spending Christmas together in this unique way. However, on a certain day in February, Lithuanian suddenly raised a sign with written words, confiding her melancholy to Levi and expressing how she wished he could be by her side. Though Levi didn't respond immediately, his heart was deeply touched by this sentiment. The next day, Levi retrieved a rocket projectile from the warehouse. After simple modifications, he wheeled out a bundle of rope from her watch post. Lithuanian observed Levi's actions until she saw him set up a rocket launcher attached with ropes. Instantly understanding his plan, he soon pulled the trigger. The rocket tore through the sky with the rope, crossing the vast canyon and landing precisely on the opposite bank. Lithuanian quickly grasped the idea and rushed downstairs. While extinguishing the rocket-ignited branches with a fire extinguisher, she securely fastened the rope to a large tree. When she returned to the watchtower and peered through binoculars, she saw Levi holding a wooden plank stating, "Dinner together tonight?" Lithuanian drew a deep breath, her heartbeat quickening involuntarily. Levi shaved his scruffy beard, gathered wildflowers, and approached the rope with minimal gear. After securing his safety buckle, he dashed toward the canyon edge and slid across toward Lithuanian, but the canyon's width forced him to stop midway. Eerie roars suddenly echoed from the depths below. Levi clung desperately to the rope before finally reaching the opposite bank. Lithuanian rushed forward joyfully. They sat on the watchpost drinking and conversing until Levi asked if she knew what he pondered nightly. "Thinking about me?" Lithuanian teased. Levi hastily explained he contemplated the nature of those hollow men. "Stop pretending," Lithuanian interjected. After embracing, they lay on the couch stargazing at Orion. Lithuanian confessed missing her father, who'd said he'd end his life on Valentine's Day. "When I yearn for him, I look at Orion's brightest star, that's him watching over me forever," she whispered. The next day, after exchanging affections, Levi prepared to return. The higher anchor point allowed him to slide back without running start. But midway, disaster struck. Hollow men below triggered cliffside explosives. With thunderous explosions, Levi's rope snapped. He plummeted into the abyss. Witnessing this, Lithuanian sprinted for a parachute and leapt into the canyon without hesitation. Her parachute deployed, but the fog beneath shifted from white to sinister yellow. She crash-landed in a river, cutting loose from the canopy and scrambling ashore using branches. Meanwhile, Levi hung unconscious upside down from a tree. Through dazed senses, he felt something approaching. His eyes opened to reveal a gargantuan insect resembling an enormous caterpillar looming above. Levi frantically beat it off with his weapon before cutting himself free. Upon landing, he crushed some strange viscous substance. When trying to rise, he found himself glued to the ground by adhesive muck. Struggling futilely, more terrifyingly, sharp white fang-like protrusions emerged, slowly encircling him. As the fangs neared to devour him, gunfire erupted. Lithuanian arrived just in time, shattering the fangs and cutting Levi free from the mire. They decided to traverse the mist toward escape ziplines at East Wall, but mere steps later, the atmosphere thickened with unnatural menace. Both stood alert, senses sharpened as something darted rapidly through the smoke. In a flash, A mounted figure burst forth. Lithuanian was struck down by a galloping horse while Levi was sent flying by another rider. As Levi staggered up, he realized the horseman resembled a tree-like humanoid with a long blade at its waist. Lithuanian attempted to reposition, only to be chased by another Hollow Man rider. The creature leaped from its steed, tackling her, but she swiftly reversed the grapple, pinning the Hollow Man before ending its existence with a rifle shot. Meanwhile, Levi grappled with another Hollow Man. Seizing an opening, he first blasted the grotesque horse with his rifle before dispatching the fallen rider. Regrettably, the blade-wielding Hollow Man escaped during the chaos. Reuniting, Levi joked darkly while examining the emaciated Hollow Men. "Looks like they're starving and want us for dinner." Yet closer inspection revealed far more disturbing details. Their bodies wore tattered 1940s military uniforms. As Gerda's account suggested, the 2,500-strong squad sent to eradicate Hollow Men had been obliterated decades prior. Their remains should have turned to dust, yet fragments of their uniforms persisted here. Advancing further, the forest morphed into nightmare. Trees twisted into skeletal human forms, their gnarled limbs frozen in silent screams of agony. Reaching a fractured settlement, they found the earth split by violent quakes, buildings choked by monstrous vines. Unearthly howls crescendoed around them, driving the pair to take refuge in a nearby church. Inside proved worse, pews lined with human skeletons, their poses differing from outside casualties. Levi determined they'd ingested poison, whispering what horror drives people to choose death. As Lithuanians scanned the vaulted ceiling, a spider-like monstrosity descended. Instantly, waves of skull-faced abominations swarmed them, though both were battle-hardened veterans handling the onslaught with ease. Lithuanian decisively blasted an escape route with explosives. Fleeing to the canyon wall, they ducked into tunnels as howls intensified. Barricading the entrance, they explored deeper, discovering labs overgrown with aberrant vines and shelves of malformed human remains. Lithuanian uncovered a crucial videotape. Powering a generator, they watched revelations unfold. In 1946, this canyon housed the Alliance's top-secret facility. Late in World War II, beyond nuclear arms, biomissiles of catastrophic power were developed here. An 8.1 magnitude earthquake shattered containment, unleashing biochemical agents that triggered genetic fusion among local species. While the immune resisted infection, victims mutated within 5 days. Many chose suicide to prevent gas spread. Levi estimated they had hours before contamination. In another chamber, 2000s-era computers exposed darker truths. A paramilitary group called Black Fox had seized control, continuing biochemical weapons development instead of destroying the canyon. Using drones to collect hybrid specimens, they sought to engineer super soldiers, the true secret Levi and Lithuanian were unwittingly guarding. Accessing a file labeled Stray Dog, Levi discovered the canyon's self-destruct protocol. If exposed, thermal radiation would cleanse a 4.2 kilometers radius. "We evacuate now," Levi declared. Before departing, he confessed to Lithuanian, "If we don't make it, meeting you made it worthwhile. Fate brought us together," she replied firmly. "Now we fight harder." Yet at the exit, their packs had vanished, Hollow Men displaying unexpected cunning. The bags lay in distant open ground, baiting a trap. Lithuanian threw smoke grenades for cover, but upon grabbing her pack, a lasso snared her leg. A galloping horse dragged her across terrain as Levi gave chase. Lithuanian saw desperately at the rope amidst violent jolts, the Hollow Man rider monitoring her struggles. Attempted rifle shots went wild before impact knocked her unconscious. Tracking drag marks, Levi pursued to a bioweapon crater. Descending, he found Lithuanian alive but dazed. The Hollow menaced her with a bayonet. She snapped awake, kicking it back before tumbling downslope. Enraged, the creature slashed wildly as Lithuanian dodged, finally striking its shoulder with a torch. Levi arrived in the nick of time, blasting the Hollow Man's torso before delivering a coup de grace headshot. A shaken Lithuanian clung tightly to Levi. Kneeling, Levi examined the Hollow Man's clothing and froze. This was the first guard stationed at West Tower, the very soldier who'd originally coined the term Hollow Men during his watch. Their escape route now loomed before them, a missile launch silo requiring vertical ascent. After brief progress, they encountered Nightmare Incarnate. Biomissiles ruptured by earthquakes had leaked mutagens, transforming nearby life forms into grotesque hybrids. These creatures glowed with unnatural luminescence, their vaguely humanoid forms fused through some eldritch connection. Though mutated beyond recognition, their agonized moans resonated with residual humanity. Treading cautiously, they neared a stairwell when Lithuanian stepped on unseen debris. Instantly, the abominations awoke. Viney tendrils lashed out, ensnaring Lithuanian. Levi reacted instantly, hacking through the vines with Shaw's combat knife. As more mutants closed in, Lithuanian triggered explosives. The ensuing inferno both cleared their path and granted the tormented creatures merciful oblivion. Emerging above ground, they discovered a warehouse containing World War II-era military vehicles. Levi's expertise resurrected a track troop carrier equipped with cable-climbing mechanisms. "This can scale the canyon's suspension lines," he declared, flooring the accelerator towards steel cables spanning the chasm, while Levi engaged the tracked wheel mechanism. Lithuanian maintained vigilant watch. When attackers approached, she dispatched them with lethal efficiency. After exchanging roles during reloading, they eliminated remaining stragglers. The vehicle began ascending the cables. Danger escalated instantly. Hollow men swarmed the cables like frenzied ants, scaling with supernatural speed. Levi and Lithuanian fought desperately, but ammunition dwindled. Levi resorted to knife combat against climbers as Lithuanian grappled with attackers atop the vehicle. During a struggle, Levi nearly plummeted overboard, his grip on a handhold sparking inspiration. Smashing the fuel tank, he doused the cables in gasoline. A flung flare ignited the trail. Flames roared upward, consuming the pursuing horde. Severing the cables, they plunged downward as explosions engulfed their pursuers. Finally escaping the hellish gorge, resolved to destroy the canyon, they planted charges at key structural points. During final preparations, Levi contacted command. The officer's tone turned accusatory. Thermal scans show someone activated the underground systems. Levi maintained innocence. Then eliminate the opposite watchpost operative. Came the order. Levi's agreement rang hollow, unknown to him. Surveillance cameras had already exposed his alliance with Lithuanian. The next morning, while laying detonation lines, they exchanged flirtatious signals through binoculars. Rotor blades shattered the calm. Black Fox insignias emblazoned the approaching helicopters. "Run!" Levi roared. The commander stormed Levi's abandoned watchpost, deploying quadcopter drones armed with Gatling guns. Levi's sharpshooting prowess downed 2 pursuers, pistol shots during evasive rolls. A sniper rammed through another's core. Lithuanian eliminated her 2 attackers with superior marksmanship. Their true objective crystallized. Demolishing relay towers to trigger Project Stray Dog's failsafe. Lithuanian scope centered on the commander atop his watchpost, but she held fire. Their planted charges detonated sequentially, satellite signals activating the canyon's self-destruct protocol. 2 minutes, they sprinted toward the 4.2 kilometers safety perimeter. The commander's helicopter rose chaotically as thermal annihilation engulfed the canyon. The blast wave sent the aircraft spiraling into cliffs, erupting in fiery debris. Lithuanian cleared the blast radius. Levi, leg wounded, was hurled into turbulent waters. Their pact, survive and reunite at West Island. Weeks passed without word. By April, Lithuanian worked as a diner waitress. Mid-service, she froze. There sat Levi, casually sipping coffee like any patron, their eyes matte. The war's ashes settling at last.